It's me, it's AI, it's taking my job. No, I'm just kidding. You might think that, and you're probably using AI in your everyday life. It's probably creating your grocery list, to writing your kids' homework, to helping out with your day-to-day and doing everything and anything. It could also be applied in the commerce space, which is truly exciting. So excited to share a couple of ideas today about how AI can be applied to commerce analytics and really drive results. I don't think it's here to really take anyone's jobs or do anything crazy like that. It's going to really empower and help us to do better work, to grow our business, and to really act fast. It's almost as a cheat code for us to really accelerate and to do good at the end of the day. When we're looking at commerce AI, you'll see a few numbers that I have up here on this board. 20,000, let's think of this as 20,000 different products. Imagine your business also has 4,500 total orders per day. 1.5, that is million in sales per day. And then lastly, imagine you have $150,000 in marketing spend. Imagine this is one example of an organization that you work at today, and some of these numbers might be really high to you, some of them might be low, and complexity comes in many different shapes and forms for wherever you're working. And so when you look at this setup in this situation, there's a lot going on. Underneath here, we can add some more complexity to it, which some of you might be familiar with. This is a multi-brand setup, which makes it even more complex with the data volume and the tech stack and everything you're working with. If you take a look at this, imagine this is brand 1, brand 2, and brand 3 that we're looking on this page. Each of these brands might have their own unique setup and total number of accounts for their tech stack. You might have your own AdWords setup for each brand. You might have your own email marketing instance, maybe a different setup across other tools that you're leveraging. I mean, one brand might have, 6 unique tools that they have that's very specific to it, that's set up. Another one might have 5. Another one might have 15 different data sources that are really important and really critical to that brand and how you're running it, right? From a marketing perspective, from operations to sales, really you name it. It could be a unique setup. So that adds a lot of complexity. If you're managing in your organization as many brands that you're working with, you're going to want to pull all that data into one central repository. So not only is this pretty complex already with all these different products that you have, a lot of orders that you have taking place, sales is coming through, which is great, but also trying to figure out, where to spend that marketing budget on a day-to-day basis. You're trying to really understand your customers, your products, what's working well, what's not working well. How can you take best practices from this brand and apply it over here? So these are a lot of questions and answers, I should say, people are really looking for. And on top of that, when you're dealing with this amount here of data volume and activity that's taking place, there's a lot of data, right? So if you have a data warehouse where you're trying to store this or you're trying to organize it, you're bringing in a lot of data constantly on an hourly basis, potentially, that's being flown in here. The question is, how can AI help? I guess is what we're really trying to get to. So if this is your setup, you're trying to ingest data, you're trying to organize it, you're trying to structure it, trying to understand your customer behavior and what's working well and the types of products and bring that across your org, there's many different use cases. So let's imagine you work in marketing. You have a multi-brand setup. You're selling in-store, you're selling online, you're also selling through all these different marketplaces like Amazon and eBay and Target. I can only imagine, sitting in that hot seat every day saying, what do I do with this $150,000 to get the most out of it? Imagine having a complete data set here and you're able to apply AI to answer a question that could simply be, where should I allocate my budget tomorrow based upon historical trends, analysis, and what we're seeing that's stored today. Imagine you can get those types of recommendations at your fingertips for you to act on. The second use case it could be tied to is inventory or maybe, operations. Once again, pretty unique setup. Imagine you have across the board, not only do you have all these brands, but what happens if you have, 50 different store locations? So you have in-store, you have online, and you have all these different marketplaces. When you think about your inventory, that you have, especially across 20,000 different products, you might be asking questions around pricing optimization. Leveraging AI, you'll be able to do things like look at demand, look at trends, look at inventory levels. Taking that information, how do you come up with competitive pricing that is maximizing your profit? Imagine AI can give you some of those answers and some of those recommendations that you can work with within a few seconds compared to weeks long of analysis that you would need to perform potentially. Another one that we could look at is, loyalty. Look at all these orders we have here. Imagine the amount of customers that you're dealing with across many brands that might be even purchasing across different brands, right? That you're looking into. Loyalty, you want to keep, your best customers and keep them around and get repeat purchases. And what that looks like, you might ask a simple question: how can we prevent customer churn? So with leveraging a data warehouse and all your data stored in one place, you're going to be able to take a look at some pretty advanced analytics on your customers and their behavior, and certain strategies that were used to help prevent churn in one shape or another, where you can get some great recommendations. And then the last one we'll look at is retail. This brings me back to, the other point that I made earlier. What happens when you have also 50 locations? There's a lot going on there, and different strategies that also might overlap with your online and marketplace, which could be great. But looking at retail, on a weekly basis, on an hourly basis, and certain promotions and what season and all the different products, you might be asking yourself, what promotions are most effective at what day, at what time, to drive the best sales possible? So imagine being able to take all this information, and at your fingertips, you could get some really great recs. These are just a few examples of what we're walking through. If this isn't your exact setup, it's okay. I think we're all dealing with data volumes and a large tech stack and the complexity of many products and orders and spend. It gets challenging and daunting at times, but leveraging AI to be applied on top of your data could be quite powerful. The last part I'll leave you with, it's all about the data set. If you have incomplete data and you're not able to have data from all different areas within your business, the recommendations won't be as great, right? I think it's really important that you, as an organization, map out your data. Like, what is your tech stack? What are the fields that you care about most? What are the data points that drive your core calculations and where it's being pulled from within your organization? And we really need to get that centralized. So that's super critical, that you have a data set that is meaningful, that's complete, because you're just going to get the best recommendations possible from what's out there. One more part that I'll mention about leveraging AI, it's a competitive advantage. If your organization really gets organized around your data and organizing it and structuring it and cleaning it all in one place, imagine that leverage you have over your competition. It is critical that you have a complete data set when leveraging these recommendations. The last thing you want is to have incomplete data, asking questions about marketing and spend and inventory and loyalty and retail, and you're making decisions off of it, but it's incomplete, which means those recommendations will also be incomplete themselves, right? And you don't want to roll with those or run with them without having that complete data at your fingertips. And all right, to take one step back, I want to highlight a critical part here on why we need to get the data all into one place. One thing I'm just going to call out, with all these different brands and the tech that they have set up, you'll have your own Klaviyo instance, right? You'll have maybe Shopify as your cart that you have set up. You're going to have GA set up as well too. You might have Yotpo reviews as well too. So you have all of this data here, and what's great is they have their own reporting, their own insights. They might even have their own AI, and they do, plugged into their data set. But where you get the best recommendation, where you get recommendations that you can really action on off that complete data set, is joining all of this together. Because what you don't want to do is run AI on top of just one data set, right? You're missing out on sales, product, customer behavior, loyalty program information, sales, inventory. Imagine what will happen when you get this all stored into one data warehouse. And when AI is applied on top of it, that's when you nail these mission critical use cases, and you get to answers that are going to make a difference in your organization in your day-to-day. And this concept that I'm describing right here, we're actually working on this right now at Glue with our customers. And that's what really sparked this video and this idea here. It's the concept of having all of your commerce data in one place, because it needs to be connected to tell that complete and full story. And with AI laid on top of that, you're gonna get some real powerful recommendations that you can action on tomorrow. So more to come on what we're working on. We're excited to share more about what's happening at Glue. And AI just told me to tell you to click right here to get our 101 guide to commerce analytics.